Year 2. It is Thursday, the 4th of February today, and this is our Year 2 maths video. So if you've got the Year 2 maths book, this is the right video for you. So we're going to start today by getting all warmed up for our maths lesson, just like we would in school, getting our brains into our maths frame of mind. So we're going to do some physical maths warm this morning, and we're going to be looking at counting in 2s, 5s and 10s. So if we are counting in multiples of 2, first of all, what must our multiples of 2 end in? And this will tell us if we've got the pattern correct. So tell your grown-up, if we're counting in 2s, what do the multiples end in? So we're counting in 2s, it must end in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. Okay, so what about when we're counting in 5s? What's the pattern when we are counting in 5s? Must end in 5 or a 0. And a nice easy one when we're counting in 10s, 10s must end in 0. So let's get ready. Let me see your piece out ready. And we're going to start with our skip counting in 2s. Because when we're counting in 2s, we're missing a number each time we're counting in groups of 2. Let me see your piece out ready. And you're grown up too. I want to see you all joining in. Are we ready? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. Well done. Counting in 5s this time. So have your 5 ready? And we're counting in 5. So we're giving high fives. High five to a grown-up sitting next to you. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Counting in 10s this time, my favourite. So get your 10 ready. Are we ready? Counting in 10s, giving your grown-up the 10. Okay. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Well done. Hopefully you're feeling all nice and warmed up now, ready for today's learning. So we're carrying on looking at fractions like we have been all week. And today when we get to our activity, we're going to be looking at page 19. So we're going back to where we should be in our book now, page 19. We don't need that just yet. We just need our whiteboard and pen to begin with. Okay, so yesterday we looked at finding half of a number. So we began to find fractions of number by finding half. So today we're carrying on finding fractions of a number, but we're looking at finding quarters and thirds of a number. Tricky stuff. But Mrs. Ward is going to show you an easy way to do this using our fractions of shapes from Monday. Okay. So we'll start with recapping yesterday. So yesterday we were finding half, and I was showing you an easy way, as well as dividing by 2, of halving a number by using shape. So on your whiteboard, I would like you to draw a rectangle on your whiteboard and then split your rectangle in half so you've got 2 equal parts. Because when we're finding half, the denominator tells us we need 2 equal parts altogether. And then we're counting how many are in one of those parts. So finding half, we're splitting it in 2 equally. So I want to find half of 12. So Alex, join in with me this time because this is our learning from yesterday and see what you can remember. We're going to count at 12, okay, sharing it out equally. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So count up now how many you've got in one out of those 2 parts. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 4, 6. 6 in each equal part. So therefore, half of 12 is 6. So that was yesterday. So we started a little bit easier by finding half. We're now going to move on and have a go at finding a quarter of a number. So when we're finding a quarter of something, we are, first of all, going to split it into 4 equal parts. Because if we look at the fraction, 1/4, The denominator tells us that we need to split it into 4 equal parts. So I've drawn a circle here, and on Monday you'll remember that when we are splitting a shape into quarters, we can go down half and then half again. So I've got my 4 equal parts ready to count out. So I want to find, for my first question, a quarter of 4. So I'm going to imagine that I've got 4 pieces of sand and rock, and I've got to give them to 4 children, so I'm going to share them out. Okay, so a quarter of 4. 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you, and 1 for you. How many are in each part? Because I want to find what 1 out of 4 parts is. I've got 1, so a quarter of 4 is 1. What if Mrs. Wood wanted to find out what 2 quarters of 4 is? I would then need to count how many are in 2 parts. And 2 quarters is the same as half. So it would be 2. What if I wanted to find 3 quarters? I would need to count 3 parts out of 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Let's try again then at finding a quarter. So I've got a different shape this time, year 2. So you might want to rub your board off and have a go and join in. I want you to draw a square on your whiteboard this time. I want you to divide your square into equal quarters. So into equal parts, 4 parts. Because when we're finding quarters, remember, it's 4 parts and our denominator tells us. So we want to find a quarter of 8 this time. So I'm going to find a quarter of 8 by counting out 8 equally into the 4 parts. So, are you ready to count with me? Get your pen, and we're going to draw, or you could use some pasta or some practical things that you've got around the house. You haven't got to draw it, we could use something practical as well. So I want to find a quarter of 8. So I'm going to count until I get to 8, dividing it equally into the 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many then have we got in 1 quarter? 1 out of 4 parts. So how many can you see in 1 part? 2. We've got 2 in 1 quarter. What about then how many would be in 2 quarters, which again is the same as half. So remember, 2 quarters is the same as half. So if I count 2 quarters, that's the same as half. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 quarters would be 4, which is half. Half of 8 is 4. What about 3 quarters then? So this time count how many are in 3 parts. 2, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 quarters of 8 is 6. So once we looked at quarters, we're going to have a little look now at thirds. So first of all, we need to look at the denominator. So it does give us a clue when we say thirds. So if we look at the fraction 1/3, the denominator is telling us we need 3 equal parts. So I've divided my circle into 3 equal parts, and I want to find what 1/3 of 6 is. So the first thing I need to do is divide 6 into 3 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So how many have I got in 1 part? If you've drawn it on your whiteboard, count how many you've got in 1 part. So in 1 part, in 1/3, I've got 2. What about 2/3 then? How many are in 2 parts? I'm counting 2s, this will really help. 2, 4. And if I wanted to count 3/3, which would be the whole, then I would have back to my original number 6. Because if I have 3 parts, 3 out of 3, that's the whole number. Okay. So this time, I'd like you to have a go. So on your board, draw yourself a circle with your grown-up. You might need a little bit of help with this. So divide your circle into 3 equal parts. Or another shape, it doesn't have to be a circle. Okay, so once you've divided your circle into 3. You can also choose a different shape and divide it into 3. That's easier. Okay, now we'll divide your whiteboard in 3. I'm going to find a third of 15 this time. So we're going to, once we've found our shape into 3 parts, we're going to count out 15 equally into the 3 parts. Because I want to find what 1/3 of 15 is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. How many then have I got in just one part? Because the question's only asking me 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3 parts. So let's count how many are in one part. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's check the others to make sure they're all equal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we know that 1/3 is 5. What would 2/3 then be? Tell your grown up, what would 2/3 be? Count how many are in 2 parts. I'm counting 5 for this. 5, 10. So 2/3 would be 10. So that should help you with today's activity. So that's the main part of our learning today, Year 2. So we're looking and we're concentrating today on question number 1. Finding a quarter of these numbers. So you are going to need your whiteboard to help you draw out the shapes in the quarters. And then question 2 is finding a third. Now question 3 is what we've just talked about how 2/4 and a half is the same. Now question 4 is asking you to fill in the gaps on the number line. So if you look quite carefully at question number 4, we've got some missing gaps. So I'm going to show you my circle on the board. I'm going to divide it into quarters and halves and my whole, and that should help you to fill in the missing gaps there. Okay, so question 1 is our main learning for today, and these are our challenges at the bottom. So I've got a circle on the board. Now I'm going to divide it first in half, then half again. Okay, I'm going to start with the smallest part. What would that fraction be? I've got 4 equal parts and I've circled 1 part. That would be 1/4. Going to shade in the next part now. What have I shaded in now? Some of you might say 2/4. We can also say a half. Okay. I'm going to shade in another part now. What part of my shape have I shaded? 1/4, 2/4, or a half? 3/4. That should help you to answer question 4. So, can't wait to see your learning. This is tricky stuff, Year 2. I can't wait to show you when you come back how you've been getting on with your fractions. So today, your main learning is finding a quarter and a third of a number. Okay, hope you get on okay. Can't wait to see your work later. Bye-bye.